decent amount of comments or ask as to why. Physically, I push myself, always promoting outdoors and running and trail running and hiking and just anything. And then exerting yourself and, working to feel better mentally and physically. And all that combination is what works for me. So I talk about it a lot, and you see me in a lot of what I post. But truth about me. So I'm going to be 60 at the end of this year. And so 15 years ago, when I was 44 years old, I was diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. I had ballooned up. I was probably somewhere around 250-ish. I'd been heavier than that. But 250-ish. I'm about 195 now. 190, 195. And I was 44 again. And literally be home from work or on a Saturday or something and be on the couch and just nod off sitting up. I think my head would fall to the side or whatever, but just in a lot of up and down type energy and then lack of, and I was just a mess. I mean, I was a horrible person anyways, and I went in and got tested, and it was like the next day. They said it'd be a couple of days, and they'd call me in and we'd talk about, anything that might be going on. But it was like the next day, the nurse called, and she said, "We need you to come back in. We got some tests back. We need you to come back in." I said, "Cool. So when can we schedule a time?" She goes, "No, you don't understand. We need you to come back in now." I'm like, "What?" So, of course, I'm a little freaked out, and so I go in, and my blood sugar at that time was 380. My blood glucose level was 380. So, and then whatever the AC1 or whatever was pretty much holding firm around that over that last 3-month period of time. It looks back on, however it does that. So they were a little bit concerned, to say the least. So we talked about it a little bit, and they got a follow-up appointment, and he immediately talked to me a little bit about diet. Now remember, he's not a diabetic doctor or had a lot of information on it. He was a general practitioner. He saw our whole family. Anyways, I was like, dang. And one of the questions I asked him going through this a little bit at the beginning, I said, because he prescribed me a low dose glucose pill. And then because of the glucose pills back then, I don't know how they are now because I don't take them. He had to prescribe me a low dose of a high blood pressure pill to protect my heart, and a very low dose of a high cholesterol pill to protect my liver. So I had to take one pill prescribed for the diagnosis of a type 2 diabetic, and then I had to take 2 to protect my body from the one pill I was taking for that. So anyways, I asked him, I said, "Am I going to be able to reverse this to get off of these meds and everything?" And he was, I love this guy. We call him Dr. G. But he said, "Probably not. It's just, probably something you may have to up the dosages over time." Saying things like that. And I'm like, what the heck? What have I done now? What have I done to myself now? It's usually I screw myself and everybody up mentally. Now I've just done this physically. Because my dad just died 4 years previously, or 5 years previously, from kidney failure, which was a result of his years and years of being a diabetic and not addressing it at all, really, or much really trying to help himself much. Wouldn't wish the last 6-7 years of his life on even if I had any enemies anymore. I wouldn't wish it on them. And then his dad, my grandfather, had a heart attack at age 66. My dad was 72. His dad was 66. And his weight and all that kind of stuff played into it. So he was probably diabetic. I don't know if he was ever really diagnosed with that. And I don't know how they did that back then, or if they did. But anyways, probably it played into it, the whole lifestyle. So I made a bunch of changes really quick and started jogging again. I mean, I had always jogged on and off for a while before that, but started trying to make some changes. I drank Dr. Peppers all day, and I ate 3 big meals and lots of snacks. You have to eat a lot when you're fat and you're big and you're just a mess. There's not oh, I don't know what to do. Well, sure you do. You just eat less. I mean, you have to eat a lot to maintain a large girth, and I know that. Okay, don't tell me anything any different. But I was never one to really accept fate in that way. And that was one of the things that I just never really grasped onto. But as years went by, I played around with it for a while, and then I got divorced, or as I put up on my social media, 10 years ago. And that's when I really started taking a look at myself. And then I really went after it 6 or so years ago, physically and food. I think my boys were a little bit taken aback, but I mean, I really was pumping myself full of information. I would send them a text every day. Hey, I didn't have any sugar today, or blah, 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 blah. Just, because they were my boys are my cheerleaders in life. And I got to where I wanted to get off or not have to take the meds. I had already taken myself off. Wasn't going to take it anymore. So I finally went in. I actually then got down to about 185, and I went in to see the doctor, and he was a little bit amazed, and I hadn't been there in probably a year and a half, 2 years. And you're supposed to have an annual, at least, with the diabetic stuff. And we talked about it a little bit, and that's what I was doing. I told him what was up, and told him where I was at, and we did all my blood levels and all, my glucose reading at that time. He took it right at that moment. It was like 90, 91. Anything for a diagnosed type 2 diabetic, according to all their charts and standards, is anything under 210 fasting on a reading. 110 is good. Normal people, anything under 100, around 90 is pretty good. So that's where I was. And my AC1s were beautiful. It was well within range. And I said, look, I haven't taken my medication for a year and a half, or however long it had been. And that's what I've been doing, and I don't want to take it anymore. And I, blah, 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 blah. And we talked about it. He thought about it, and he said, let's try it. You don't need it right now. And so anyways, I haven't taken any medications, over the prescribed medications, in since 2014. 6 years. And that's why I push myself so hard, because I don't want to go back to that. I already have a pre-genetic disposition to be that if I don't take care of it. And I may still may get triggered at some point, even if I'm doing what I'm doing. But if I can give myself a chance not to be that way, be an example to my boys, my kids, it can be an example to them, because if they don't take care of themselves, it's going to get them, because it's genetic. It's a huge genetic thing. Wow, this is getting to be pretty long. So I understand that. I also know sugar addiction. I'm a huge sugar addict. Still am. And I do indulge every once in a while, but I can, because I'm normal. If I keep my stuff in normal, I do things right. 85% of the time I eat good and I eat clean. And I don't eat a lot. But this is a health thing. And I don't want to hear anybody out there say that they can't do it or have an opportunity to do it like I did it if you haven't even tried. And I don't mean try like a week or two and see if you got to go at this for a long time, for a period of time. You got to be patient, and you got to go after it if you really want it. And I really wanted it, and I really want it now. Again, my information is take what fits, throw away the rest. I wanted that to get out there. I have not talked about that. I posted a picture a long time ago, maybe a couple of years ago, of when I was really big. If you want to flow through all my stuff, but You can do this, and this is what it was for me. If I wasn't able to latch onto the outdoors and running and hiking, and that's the only way that led me into pushing myself more and more and more and more, because this all ties in together and makes you want to be better, and it's challenging. The outdoors is not judgmental. It doesn't care what stage you're at or what level you're at. It's here. You utilize it and you bend to it to how it works for you, or you bum rush it, if that's what works for you. You may realize you're going to get hurt a little bit. You might have a little bumps and bruises, but if that's your style, which is a little bit of mine, I just want to go. So I want you to go. All right, so get out there. You can do this. You can and utilize the outdoors. That will help you. That gives you an advantage. This is therapy. Come on, man. You can do this. Let's go. See you later. Bye.